which should say a lot about what we can expect to see here.
Yeah, we casted a game on this map between a very high-level team and a team just looking to break in, and there were some interesting highlights there, casting-wise and tracking-wise. I believe it was a player by the name of Super Cookie made his debut on Soldier 76.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah, Jason Kaplan just keeps bringing it up, so it's always fresh in my mind. But we will see different play this map from these two teams, that is for sure. Right now, looks like Rogue wants to run something a little bit different. They clearly have a strategy designed specifically for this map. Unco will be on the Zenyatta. That's not anything new. Nox will be on Lucio, reinforced on Reinhardt, wins on Zarya. That's all the stuff that is typical. AKM's going to play a defensive Roadhog first into Vic. Ana.
I love it. I love it. And this man will play anything. But you know what I love? And this just occurred to me, right? For Raucus and Fact Fiction, when they played for Oh No, this was the first map that they started turning heads. This was the map they beat FaZe on during that qualifier, shocking everybody, holding them towards the last point. That actually first knocked FaZe out of that qualifier and caused them to dissolve as they were them known, but also propelled Oh No into the regionals and gave them a name for themselves. And now they find themselves back on FaZe. It all comes full circle, Hex. It's just nuts. But yeah, as well, look at the attacking side here. Too easy on the Tracer and Shadowburn on the Genji. I mean, no surprises there as well. We wondered if he'd still go for that pick. It seems that the nurse or the slight adjustments, to be diplomatic, haven't really deterred him at all.
No, Genji is still really strong, so we'll see. We're just looking for like the first hook here. AKM misses his first hook. A nice hold back here. Forsaken takes on his opposing number. Unco down early.
Yeah, a good start there as well. And even AKM falling. That's your Roadhog falling. Not a great start. And this is a FaZe claim. They haven't committed fully to this fight. They've got 3 players on the payload still, so they're getting kills with 3 players and moving the payload over at full speed. All Reinforce can do right now is to stall out. And of course, with the shield, it's easy to do that. But now Fact Fiction gets up behind him and is going to give him the shock of his life in a few moments now as well. He holds very, very nicely there. Reinforce lasted like 10 seconds, but what a great opening there from FaZe. Didn't even have to commit the full 6 players into getting a fight and then just won, like, trade after trade.
Yeah, Shadowburn got sleep darted there and did not die out of it, surprisingly, because his team was babysitting him. He got his Zarya bubble right afterwards. Super nice to be helping out Shadowburn like this.
Now, because the fight's going to continue to happen here, do you think his lack of mobility is going to be exploited there as Toozy manages to find him and take him out? Earthshatter comes down there as well, but doesn't really hit enough people. Walker's able to pick himself back up onto his feet. Unco falls down there as well, and Winter's going to be isolated from the rest of his team. FaZe just completely undeterred and almost unchallenged here as they get the first point.
I think much in the same nature that people eventually migrated back to McCree even after he was hit pretty hard in a patch one time. People will just immediately go right back to Genji, realizing that he got hit a little bit, but it's not too much to not run him, especially when he's your best player, especially when your DPS is so good like Shadowburn. There's no way I see Genji completely falling out of the meta the way McCree and Pharah have in the past.
And now wins as well. Speaking of a hero that's never going to be out of the meta, he does have his Graviton Surge available and ready to go here. So the door shuts in FaZe's face here as well as they purposely get ground, but this kind of leaves Fact Fiction and Shadowburn split off from the rest of their team there as well. So a bit of a half-hearted disengage from half the team now leaves them with a 4v6 situation. They're too easy, they're going to get reinforced with the pulse bomb. That's a decent fight and enough for FaZe to keep going on with now. Graviton Surge catching Zombs and Forsaken together. Even Raucus was pulled in, and the Transcendence is going to be forced out now. A 4-man Graviton Surge, that's going to be nasty. Too Easy's in the backline there as well. In fact, Fiction able to break them apart as he jumps down on top. A little bit of extra damage. Lacking the real damage dealers to make it happen here. It's just too easy, but my god, he's making it work.
That was the cleanest reversal of a fight I've ever seen. You know, in fighting games, you hit the button just right, you get a reversal. They were totally Graviton, then they Soundburied out of it to keep them alive. Transcend came in after that to get them into fighting shape, and then they Gravitoned of their own, cleaning up 3. Just super nice way they waited for those combos.
Shadowburn now wants to go in now with the Dragon Blade as well, reflecting a bit of damage, has to sacrifice some DPS to reflect, but at least he keeps him alive. And he's lucky to be alive at this rate. 44 health, he's going to have to get back up on top of the building, almost cops an Anadart, and that's going to be the end of him as well. Vic gets him with the second shot, picks him up, and now AKM as well does have even the whole hog available here. FaZe are showing us a pace of play that's very, very impressive. The fact they managed to turn around like a 4v6 situation was impressive, but now we see Rogue able to re-establish, take some of their real estate back under their control, and they've got some key ultimates online.
Yeah, FaZe, they're going to switch off, too. Too Easy is off of that Tracer onto the Roadhog. I think it's the right stage to switch off of it on. I think Genji and Tracer are the best flankers on this map, but first and last, more specifically. Fact and Fiction takes down AKM early to begin this fight. That's a nice pick. Earthshatter comes in, though.
Yeah, really good Earth Shatter, reinforced. Not much follow-up available for him in the immediate area, but Unco manages to make good on it, getting himself 2 kills. Wins gets involved now, Shadowburn as well. Often the man called on to turn situations around here for FaZe. He's going to have to just wait. He can't heal up. He's got the biotic grenade activated on him there, so very much nullified in that fight. Wins a little bit too far to extend there, but lucky to get away with his life as reinforced charges to his aid.
That Conviction chooses to take this 1v2. Maybe he thought he was going to have more support there. He does bait out the Nana Boost ultimate afterwards, but Reinforced and Wins have just been having their own party up front, just doing whatever they want on this tank play, and then people are trickling into them 1v1. It's been very kind of an odd engagement out of them, but yeah, this triple tank has been insanely strong for them.
Very hard to break thus far now as well. Fact Fiction moving forward. Shadowburn already setting up for a bit of a flank here as well. He does have Dragon Blade available. Looking for a good in for that one now. Graviton surges off towards the side. Catches actually 3 players in, but there's no follow-up. There's no way for other players to access that one now. It's too easy. Gets the Nano Boost in. He's going to go straight for Reinforced and just completely knocks him over there. He's like a reverse vacuum cleaner. I don't know how it works, but it works one way or another. And he gets back on towards the point here. Over the top of him there. Tvik gets put to sleep. That's got to suck there, especially if you're Anna yourself. That was a sleep dart reflected, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, Forsaken actually was on that Anna, so just to pick him up there. And the fight dissolved slowly but surely there. Too Easy wasn't able to make much happen with that Nano Boost at all, really.
Yeah, and here comes the switch, and maybe this is pub logic, but I would have said this 2 minutes ago. Someone's got to go Reaper. We're facing against 3 tanks, and we have to go a Reaper somewhere. So Shadowburn does come up on the Reaper, but Too Easy down early in this fight, 5v6 in this last fight.
Shadowburn in a decent position inside the building now to do some damage. He's spotted out early on now. The charge from Reinforced doesn't quite connect, and he goes flying past him. So Shadowburn can come out now and get some damage down there as well. Nano boosted Reinhardt is dangerous, but still takes a lot of damage from a Reaper at close range. And AKM gets a nice little hook on towards Shadowburn, who's able to avoid it. And now all of a sudden we're in overtime. Still, FaZe can push over on this one easily enough. Too Easy gets himself a nice double, and Tvik picked off on the sides. Now, in terms of there being time to reinforce, there just really isn't any. Maybe one last fight here. So if, you know, Rogue can hold off here and manage to squeeze a fight out, that would be good. But Shadowburn, of course, will be lying in wait here on the Reaper. He's not going to let them get there. They're going to get the checkpoint. They're going to get a time extension.
So many games today have just come down to compositional switches, and I really do think that fight came down to Shadowburn changing to Reaper. That's how important hero selection is here. You can run a Tracer and a Genji, and that's great for the flanks, but it just does not do enough chunk damage. You need that chunk damage against triple tank. Shadowburn did it. He showed up in the kill feed there. Got a nice Death Blossom too, so now he's going to be at 75%, and yeah, I think it's simply that switch that won them that fight.
Now, Payload does snake just around a corner here. Wins just trying to get some right-click action in there as well, knocking people around. Disruption is key. A few ults available here for FaZe Clan. They've got the Graviton Bomb combo, 3 to use now as well, and they're going to use that one right now as well. Look at the Biotic Grenade. Look how impactful it is in those fights. Fact Fiction gets himself 2 kills and Too Easy over the top. You can't do anything about it. Doesn't matter if you've got a Zenyatta in the mix using Transcendence. It's not going to be enough.
And it's a weird ability to try to play around. It just feels odd if you're running Roadhog or you're used to getting packs or something and you can't. Like, you're just not necessarily adjusted to it in Overwatch. Last fight incoming here as they press the point. Ultimated Reinhardt.
Oh, that's big as well. He's actually going to get the Earth Shatter down. Fact Fiction left to his own devices here to cause problems, but AKM also benefiting from the Nano Boost at this stage. Shadowburn falls down as AKM's able to clean him up now, and Zombs is caught both between a rock and a hard place, but both sides of Rogue wrapping around him now. He eventually is going to have to fall, and 10 seconds remain on the clock here. It's not enough buffer really for FaZe to work in on. They're going to have to be satisfied with this distance as they've basically completed the map, but it's unlikely they're going to get any further.
Yeah, Brockus is going to try to come in all for naught, though, as he is beamed down as well. But they did finally break second stage, I think, just compositionally. You know, we've talked about how Shadowburn is an amazing Genji, and we're wondering how deep his hero pool is. The brief life he had on Reaper was pretty phenomenal, so we should not really be worried if he has to run that. Just the switch needs to come off, I think, a little bit earlier for them there. Cool. But they did get it close to the end, 67. They did not finish out the map, but seems to be a trend lately with teams not finishing maps.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it a lot tonight as well. It's quite odd, given that's not really the part of the competitive mode that's actually been changed. That remains much the same here. It's just how our ties are resolved, but we haven't really had to concern ourselves with that one too much. So, yeah, curious indeed. I think also the Mercy use as well has given a very interesting tone to how some of these team fights resolve. But yeah, we're not seeing those situations, you know, sort of come down to having to repeat and go for time bank. I guarantee you when it does, people are going to lose their minds. But for now, let's keep it simplified.
It is nice and simple, and it looks like Shadowburn, of course, is going to be back on Genji. That is the switch up he is making. Too Easy, I think, running the McCree is really smart here. Too Easy's McCree, I don't know about. Like, it's so, it's either the best McCree I've ever seen, or like I would ask him to switch if I were playing with him. Because he's so like inconsistent on McCree. We'll see what kind of he has running here today, but it looks like Rogue might be running something pretty interesting. I love seeing Tavik on Pharah.
Too Easy has always been a good player, but rarely you would sort of use consistent to describe him because he's too affected by flights of fancy and just the general adrenaline of the game. The most consistent player on the old Fnatic was actually Drunks, who now actually coaches the Fnatic manages the Fnatic Overwatch team. He was the most consistent. Also Valutaja, right? Those two guys were very, very solid. So I would never have called Too Easy. He was more of a firebrand. He had the ability to go off there, and on some maps he just really took advantages and ran away with them, but that transfers over. It's got a lot to do with your mindset here, how easy you are getting carried away. But we're going to be underway here, Hex, now, as well as AKM going to be on the Genji, which is always an interesting sight, as much as we do like to see the Pharah as well from Tavik.
Yeah, the AKM Genji is a bit strange. Good point out there, but we'll see what Tavik can do. It's really a lot of this early fight's going to depend on Tavik versus Too Easy. Now, he's going to have his pocket, but can Too Easy take him out of the sky?
Yeah, well, that's the plan. I mean, that's kind of the idea if you're bringing in this McCree, but it's easier said than done. Everyone tries to play this game like scissors, paper, rock and assume that you can counter that easily. No, it doesn't work that way. It's highly conditional, especially when you're playing McCree as well, who, like that, can get cut off before he can really make anything happen. It's actually Shadowburn that manages to pick up stick there in the start, and it's actually going to be the entirely side of Rogue getting crushed here on this push, not really working out for them at all.
Yeah, I mean, of course, people say, just play McCree, it counters Pharah. Well, you still have to hit 2 headshots in a row when she's being pocketed, so it's not exactly just as simple as that. Shadowbird with a really late cleanup, a really nice work from him. Genji not so nerfed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I guess at heart he's still very much the same as well. It's just some of the extra bells and whistles have been stripped away. He still gets the job done. And yeah, I mean, you can't even kill a Pharah from a safe distance as McCree. You had to be close up to actually get decent damage. And here's the fight though, or maybe not. In fact, Fiction's got no choice but to jump onto the payload here. We've got the Too Easy deals with reinforcing the backline, so that's a good start here. There's a lot of Dragon Blades happening in Shadowburn. Well, he's always going to be a very scary Genji to go up against there. He gets Tavik and Unco goes down. AKM at least is able to find a couple people there as well. Raucus and Fact Fiction go down. Really key pickups, but unfortunately, it was definitely a one-man band in that little fight.
AKM gets some nice trades at the end, so they'd be best served to try to push in as fast as possible while those trades are going to be reinforcing. You're at the point in the map, though, where both reinforce times feel pretty similar. So right now, just trying to get those trades to Vic going down really early.
You can't afford to let this happen now as well. You've only got 2 minutes or so to work with, and FaZe already showing very, very, very good understanding of how to play around big Earls. And you can see now Unco having to back away with AKM here. They're waiting. They absolutely have to wait for Tavik to be here. He's going to be the one that knocks people off the top of this diner in the first place and allow people to get picks. And that's why Shadowburn is forging ahead as well for that little bit of extra info. And now we're going to see Royd come forward. Sound Barrier being used as well. We hear a Deadeye being used at the back. It's Too Easy trying to make the one happen. It was actually, I think, AKM trying to come forward with the reflex, but no. Too Easy waits and he uses that on Reinforce. Reinforce falls down and now Too Easy left to his own devices. Sitting at the back. Very safe position, even gets in the Fonzie move there as well, as Wins is just waiting to die. And there's a good reason that Reunited keep him alive.
Hey there.
Should I say? God help me.
One of the most difficult parts about playing Pharah is that you know that the composition is built largely around that playing Pharah, so you will get soloed out pretty consistently, and right there they gravitoned only Tavik, knowing if we can just take Tavik out of this fight, we're probably going to be in good position afterwards. So they used a solo graviton on a Pharah, knowing that that's how they built their composition. One of the last pushes incoming, a minute left.
Yep, we do see the Earthshatter come down as well. Nox got hit, even though he was up on the payload there as well. It's going to be an early res just for Wins to come out here. He needs to get up on his feet. Unco did fall in that fight now, but Wins still gets on towards Fact Fiction. However, the FaZe res comes in, and that's pretty darn good. So no one bats an eyelid maybe so much when FaZe sort of get knocked down to the lower bracket, but if they beat Rogue to go up against Reunited here, that would just be something else.
Yeah, there's no bad set left today, so any victory is going to be a great victory, but I cannot believe this defense coming out. It has looked pretty scattered on the push here for the most part. They're trying to get value out of this Pharah. I'm not certain that they have.
No, no, absolutely not. It's being focused down now, but the Graviton Surge comes in, so it's going to be now an effort here. Fact Fiction
on the top of Big Earls.
Charge out of that one there as well. Somehow, Fact Fiction getting around the backside, charging out was a great idea, and now Reinforce going to be caught amongst the midst of it. That's it. There's only one more chance for Rogue to come forward here, and my God, it's going to have to be a damn good push. They need overtime so we can get them to the first point.
Yeah, Tavik has switched onto the Tracer to try to get there. He gets murked by Zombs. That is it. That's the map.
I am a sweaty nerd after that one. That was impressive stuff from FaZe. A full hold in the first point. This is not really heard of in recent times, especially on that part of the map there as well. But that's why you go down to Route 66. And if you're Rogue, you're annoyed. You're getting wrecked by some draft phases here as well that are not leaving you on maybe ideal maps for you.
Right.
I mean, you know, we didn't even need to see FaZe finish off the map there as well. Their first push on towards Big L's when they were attacking was excellent. Keeping 3 players on a payload and winning a fight is literally like fighting one-handed against an army of ninjas. The fact that they managed to get so much progress while still fighting and winning is ridiculous.
You mentioned like that perhaps Rogue has a weakness in their map pool, and that's only going to get worse as teams start watching these videos of like, oh, well, maybe we'll just take them to Route 66 because what was that? So it is definitely something that they need to work on as a team. They have maps that they're very good on, very strong on, beat Envious strong on, but there are some maps where they would rather not go. So that phase has been a difficult time for them. It looks like we are going to Kings Row next, an old familiar for Rogue.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, and I think that they're better than most teams on this map. The thing about Kings Row is that you pick it and you can never really be sure that you're going to win. You just can't, because everyone plays this map. Everyone goes for it. It's very much the standard pickup for a lot of these teams here as well. So, you know, getting the better half of Kings Row is going to be tricky to do here. And we seem to have lost X, but it's fair. Okay. Bring us back in. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Sorry about that one. Something Sombra, something. But Hex has rejoined us here as well. And I don't know if we told everyone here as well, but this is a best of 3 series. So it's not all over after FaZe managed to win that first map here. We're talking about King's Row, I believe, Hex.
Yeah, no, our lower bracket is definitely best of 3, and yeah, I got hacked. Someone hacked the Gibson, might have been Sombra, might have not been Sombra. Maybe you should watch minute 323 of this cast and figure it out. Maybe that's a thing, I don't know. But I'm back, nice reboot, purged all the viruses and whatnot, so we'll get back in the lobby, and we're gonna head to King's Row. In this best of 3, of course, the winner moves on to face Reunited, and I think I called it today. I think Reunited was going to be in the finals. Yeah,
I know you did say that as well. To be fair, that last map in that series between Reunited and Rogue was pretty convincing there, I think. So, well-deserved. I mean, online Reunited generally pretty darn good as well. I mean, Landon's even better, so no shock to us here as well. We are waiting, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering why we're talking. I'm going to invite old mate Hex into the game so we can actually cast it. That would be kind of the ideal situation here. Once we get that one done, we will be ready to go in here. The teams have been waiting for us. Quite lovely. They have been. We are ready. I'm going to give the call. And hopefully we can go in there as well. So King's Row, yeah, we were saying it's kind of like that map that every team is sort of quite decent at, or at least you should anticipate that every team's quite decent on. It's kind of like Babby's first Overwatch strats when you do form a team. So, yeah, it can be a risk sometimes as well. You need to have a good reason that you think you're going to win out on this map.
Yeah, I mean, it is the Overwatch map, right? It's been the map for a very, very long time. Teams, if you're not comfortable by it by now, then your practice schedule has been just wrong overall. Yeah. You should be able to have some strategies on King's Row you want to pull out. So this is the old standby. This is probably a map that Rogue feels better on, but FaZe is just, I don't know. I just want to watch Shadowburn. He's been always dominant on this map. He runs an offensive Genji, a defensive Reaper, or a defensive Genji, an offensive Reaper. It's been kind of an interesting switch up. His offensive Genji is really good, though, so we'll see how big the nerf hit by what he plays.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about that a lot as well, and a lot of people at home maybe sort of aren't too sure about what we're referring to when we talk about Genji and the nerf, as it were. He gets less ultimate duration, which is important to point out. He can't reset his sort of double jump with wall runs, and also I think his one-hit combo is far harder to hit, or maybe even impossible to hit in that way as well. So the basic tenets and the basic idea of Genji is still the same. He still does everything that he used to do, but now he just has less of a margin of error to actually do his job. So at the top level, good Genjis probably aren't going to be affected so much. It's more those that are being carried a little bit by the I don't know, the ease at which you can set up plays as Genji with how long your cooldowns are, or how short your cooldowns are, or how long you have for Dragon Blade.
Well, I'm always all for raising the skill ceiling of a hero on every single hero, so I'm actually pretty glad with some of the changes that they did there. But as long as dash reset and deflect remain a thing, he's going to be the best hero as far as getting to the backline and getting out of the backline safely. So that's why he'll always be strong. Dash reset, such a snowbally ability. But for the moment, Shadowburn kicking it old school. He was a phenomenal Team Fortress 2 soldier. He's on Pharah for the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he sticks with this one. I hope he does, to be honest with you now. Forsaken on Widowmaker may remain for now as well. Interesting. I think maybe just go for a shot, really, if you're in his position. But Shadowburn now just looking for some opportunities. It was just a very brief stint on the Widowmaker for Forsaken. And again, he'll set up on top of the hotel. He'll boost around the side there as well, get a bit of early damage. I love Pharah on this point, especially if you can use the concussive blast to get yourself right into the back line and clean people up.
Yeah, it's not very... I don't know, like, perplexing to play Pharah on this map. You come over the left side, you try to get the damage right around the corner, and you're hanging out on the area of the hotel, but they know that too. They try to come in and bum rush down the Pharah. Zoms takes down Wins. Zoms takes down Tavik.
That's lovely stuff there as well. Not only do you get your opposite number, you get rid of the Mei, the most annoying factor to deal with as you're trying to attack on towards this point. Reinforce tries to charge out. He hits the edge. He's going to be able to back away there with the shield just up, and now just enough remains for Rogue to try and contest this capture here, but they don't have much time. They're going to have to go soon, otherwise they're going to be caught way too close to the payload, and it's time. Good charge, but the shield was on Fact Fiction. Reinforce gets stunned halfway through, and he is just blown asunder.
Yeah, Zoms puts his name in the kill feed yet again. They are going to take this first point rather easily in some late deaths there from both supports. And Earthshatter comes down looking for the entire cleanup.
Yeah, and they'll get that there as well. It would have been even nicer if they were able to move this payload, but Forsaken was having a nap there as well. He got slept just briefly by Tvik, just as that fight ended, so no one was able to move the payload while the fight was continuing down the street. But still, we are going to see some very aggressive positions established by FaZe. The Pharah Mercy in the streets phase can be very hard to deal with if you don't have one of your own or something that directly counters them, of which there's not a lot. So, good positioning here for FaZe will yield some free progress now, especially if good damage is being done by Shadowbird, which we expect. We talk about Soldier players playing Pharah. I mean, Seagull's another good example, as much as I hate to refer to it all the time. They're very hard to deal with. And now with the Graviton Surge coming in, the barrage over the top, they did use the Biotic Grenade here, and it's just enough to keep some of them alive there as well. Good use of the Transcendence to keep Rogue fighting fit after that nasty combo.
Yeah, it did get all the ultimates out of them, though, while the offense still remains. Well, I would imagine we see a resurrection here momentarily, just waiting for a couple more people to die. So yeah, there is the res. They are going to flip it back around, a 6v2 remaining on the payload.
Very nice stuff, and that's cleaned up pretty quickly there. Reinforce and Unco are dashed aside. And like you said, it was nice that Rogue managed to survive the Wombo, but they had to pop all their defensive ults at the time. And then Raucus just waiting for the res. He sat in the building the whole time, didn't even bother to get involved in the fight, like a good Mercy should. Don't take that too literally now, guys, but obviously if you are waiting for a res, that is a good way to stay safe.
Yeah, Resurrection is essentially just LOL ults. That was really cute what you just tried to did there, using all your 100%, but they're going to push it here. They get two really quick kills, too easy. Combines for a couple kills. Shadowbird goes down early, but that should be enough for the offense to continue their push, as Zoms again showing up with the kill feed. Zaryas who get 2 or more kills in every fight are extremely rare and invaluable. Zoms and maybe Kai come to mind mostly, but Zom's been playing out of his mind this last month, been carrying this team.
I mean, the last time I think I saw it was Internet Hulk getting like 3 kills for Envious while they were attacking on that point there as well, and we all went nuts for it there as well. It's pretty rare to see that happen now. Too easy just having to jockey back this fight a little bit more now, as we do have the fight starting off. It's going to be Shadowbird now. He's going to have his barrage online in just a moment, but whether he chooses to use it remains to be seen. He's going to wait at least for this Transcendence to time out, and Tvik goes in and gets towards Walkers. He's reflecting rockets now as well, and that's it. You're going to use the barrage to try and deal with the Genji. You at least get that, but AKM picks off Shadowburn, who hovered too low for too long. Earthshatter comes in, but there's no follow-up here, and that's going to mean Rogue can solidify. They can hold their ground. And what we're talking about Zoms here, actually, he's probably the youngest player, one of the youngest players at pro level. He's 17 years of age, and a lot of players obviously come from games like TF2 and the like that have been around for a bit longer, but he, as a young gun, is just super good in a role as well that mostly is occupied by veterans. I think of Wins, I think of a lot of the Zarya players, I think of all those guys that have been around for a while, so very good to see him.
Nick Soundware comes in on the defense as they try to push in. Graviton only grabs 2, but 2 kills come off the board for the defense like immediately right away. And this is when Rogue is most successful. This is how they play it. This is their style. They're aggressive. They don't like sitting back on the back lines. The fight previous to this, Tvik had gone in really deep as Genji, and this is exactly what they do. They want to choose when you fight.
Yeah, and that's right. And they completely split the side of FaZe to the 4 wins here as well. Great Earthshatter from Reinforce there as well. There wasn't maybe as much follow-up as you would have liked to that, but still he stayed alive despite the fact that Zoms was trying to burn him down. So Ultimate's being burnt through here as well, but neither team really has a distinct advantage in that regard. I'd maybe give it to Rogue with Unco and his Transcendence available now as well, but we will see FaZe set up again. FaZe are aggressive, but Rogue are the aggressors. That is just their role. It's characteristic of them now as well. Wynn's going to dive the backline there as well, trying to shut down. Too easy, but Nox has fallen. That could be nasty now as a Transcendence comes into the fight, but it's too late. Already Lucio having been lost. Now, the knock-up. AKM actually gets knocked up into the air, jetted up there as well. He was lucky not to get cleaned up with the charge. In fact, Feature now as well just takes a step back, puts the shield up, and Too Easy realizes that he's going to be able to pick up Reinforce easily enough. The man was left on his own in front of the shield, and this will be that payload to get moving very close to the end.
Their DPS is phenomenal when they're on the chase, when Too Easy and Shadowburn get to take down people who are already low health. So that's a lot on Faction Fiction when he goes in. The very aggressive dive in early from him, set up the rest of his team for success. Shadowburn takes on Unco.
And Too Easy got charged there as well while he was trying to ult. He wasn't actually pinned, but he actually did interrupt him a lot. But there it is. Too Easy goes on one's wings here as well. Reinforce falls to Fact Fiction to fix in the backline, but it doesn't matter because there's no one in his team's backline. And that payload gets across the line with 2 minutes and 19 seconds remaining. And that's a very acceptable time here as well. We talk about time left now instead of total round time as we used to when stopwatch was a thing there. But having 2 minutes 20 in the time bank here for FaZe is definitely a good sign. This is the kind of map you are going to see time bank be a factor, as a lot of teams know how to play it.
Yeah, this map generally gets finished. It's pretty rare that you see a team unable to get to the end of King's Row, but I don't know, man. Today has been kind of an outlier. There's a lot of teams that are just not finishing maps that I think they should finish.
Yeah.
So we'll see if time back actually comes into effect. I'm just thrilled that I don't have to keep time anymore. That's wonderful. Everything is in-game now. Thank you, Blizzard.
Yeah, that's right. It's all hands-free now as well, even the casting. So that's the best, especially with ZP in here as well. We don't even have to observe. We just sit back and I fly obnoxiously around the map and just catch all the action here as well. So now we are going to see, obviously, the side of Rogue with a bit of a challenge facing them here. I don't know what we're going to see sort of from FaZe that will be sort of strange and abnormal over on the first point here. So I think we can conject and expect at least that a team like Rogue can take the first point. I think where the side of FaZe can make up a lot of time is to just delay Rogue more on the streets phase than they were delayed. Because if you remember, FaZe pushed through really quickly there. Rogue got caught out in a very weird position, and the first point was taken while Rogue was still kind of trying to contest it. And then they all got bowled over and the payload just went straight up the guts towards the Foundry.
Yeah, Tavik, I think, was trying to talk his team into letting him play Hanzo. They compromised, and he's going to be on a Pharah instead. So him and Unko will be on the combo. An offensive Reaper comes out, too, from AKM. Other than that, pretty standard with Winds and Reinforce on the staple tanks of Zarya and Reinhardt. Nox will play Lucio, but... so yeah, we're definitely seeing Pharah at least get tried out. As you mentioned, she's great on this point in specific. She's got a really nice entryway, and you can do so much damage and really change the angles of the battlefield.
Yeah, that's right, and it's also easy to find that backline, which is really important as well. It's less treacherous, you know, less points where you can get caught out. You can't really respond to it until the Pharah is in your backline already. So Shadowburn up on the statue there as well, hoping just trying to catch on towards Unco at this stage, but Tvik's not going to allow that to happen. Already Rogue have been allowed on towards the point, and now the real fight's going to start. Reinforce gets too easy. That's a grudge settled and a great pick off to start the fight. Reinforce eventually falls to Fact Fiction, but AKM's there to follow up with a little bit of damage. Somehow Fact Fiction's still standing. He's got the shield up. He can protect Forsaken now, as well as Wind's trying to push through it. Fact Fiction now forced to bring out the hammer and start swinging it, but he does lose Forsaken. But Shadowburn there is where on his side. It's a 2v2 situation. Shadowburn dashing through. Unfortunately, now with Fact Fiction being lost, Shadowburn has to abscond at this point. He's going to go over towards the control of Rogue.
Yeah, Winds just won that 2v1. He beat a Reinhardt and a Zenyatta by himself as Zarya, and just gotta feel pretty good about how he's playing. Zarya play has been elevated to another level now. No longer can you just make sure that you're hitting your cooldowns on the proper timings. You have to be very, very good. Winds dies there to 2-easy pretty early though, but we've seen just great Zarya play out of most people. That 2v1 is insane.
Yeah, and it's not the first time Winds has done that as well. He's actually notorious for having these situations where he goes 1v2 or 1vx and manages to somehow win it. Zarya is a pretty robust hero to play and obviously has a lot of self-defensive capabilities, but still hard to make it work for you now. Tvik obviously in a position here where he wants to break this one open like a nut. He does have the barrage available here as well. He wants to try and make that one work. Winds is very, very close to having a Graviton Surge, but you don't need that. Here Shadow comes in. Tvik gets himself free. Shadowburn trying to block all that damage away, but unfortunately it's not going to be enough. He gets knocked around with a concussion blast, and one more shot should do the job. Tvik might just be merciful and let the man live for now, but it doesn't matter. Rogue have broken through that first fight. I think I see Fact Fiction there as well, still trying to swing his hammer around in vain, but the fight is won and Rogue will press on.
Yeah, the barrage was phenomenal as a follow-up, but let's give some credit to Reinforce, too. That Earthshudder put everyone on the ground. One of the problems with Pharah is when you hit Q, you're just expecting to die. If Justice rains from above, you might as well just call it shoot me in the face. But she gets that barrage down because that Earthshudder knocked 3 down. The nice cleanup there. So Reinforce playing a nice game on his newly skinned Reinhardt.
Yeah, he's loving it. A lot of people are loving that one at the moment, actually, as well. Only a few people dislike it, but there's Tvik, and he picked up there in the back of that fight. Now, Unco is waiting on the side for a bit of a res here as well. He was sitting inside the subway, and there he goes. Gets a pretty big res there as well. We'll have to see if it's going to be enough, though, because it's going to be an Earthshatter responding straight away. Knocks the reinforcements, get completely mashed. It's like the trash compactor, really, for those two there as well. That was what was awaiting them, and that is a problem. And that was the problem with Mercy Res. Sometimes you can just set up to respond to that so easily. You have a very solid sound and audio cue to prepare yourself for, again, a resurrection of your opponents.
Yeah, Mercy Res has always been one of the hard things to call as whether it's good or not, because it charges so fast that you're like, well, you might as well, and just hope that it sticks, because like halfway through the next fight, she's going to have Resurrection up again, so why wouldn't you use it? But yeah, as you mentioned, they brought them up. The buff was that people can react a little faster, but it just does not seem like enough so far.
Shadowbear now as well, in a position to wreak some havoc. Dragonblade at the ready, and he definitely wants to try and hold Rogue off as much as he can, but he gets cut down. Vic picks him up there as well. That's a huge, huge pickup. And now, with Barrage ready to go, we can do a heck of a lot of work with this, but for now, he contents himself for setting rockets over towards Fact Fiction. Just going to work him down behind the shield. Now he's going to be looking over towards Zoms, and Vic just having that whale of a time here. An easy enough pick up there towards Too Easy, helped by AKM, is going to give Rogue the progress they need. Now they're going to chase for kills. Vic looking, very much looking for Forsaken here as well, but it's going to be Wins that helps pick him up, and that is going to let the payload slide on that much closer to the end.
Well, they have Barrage up too, so that could be coming around. This is the last point of King's Row. You can sneak a Pharah into the back line. Resurrection, Death Blossom, a lot of death from above coming in from the offensive team, so we'll see.
And AKM as well in a position to deal that one out there as well, but Vic opens the account up on towards Fact Fiction. Raucus goes down though as well. That's an important pickup. Raucus had res, and that might be what FaZe needed to stay in this fight. The difference is Rogue had res, they use it now. Graviton Surge comes in and catches about 4 people together. Shadowburn gets himself one. Forsaken comes in, and Vic comes in with the Hail Mary barrage. Doesn't quite work out though, as Zoms is able to pick him up over the top of the fight. Now AKM, he's benefiting from some healing right now, but he goes too far away from Unco. He gets caught out, and Fact Fiction now as well is going to move the line of scrimmage up a little bit closer to Rogue's side of the map.
Yeah, line of scrimmage definitely moved on to the second bend here, so they just stalled that fight out long enough to be able to reinforce. Once they got their tanks into that fight, it was essentially over, so they didn't even have to burn Resurrection. They've got 2 support ults. They've got Factor Fiction with his Earth Shatter up too. Shadowburn now switching on to the defensive Pharah.
That's right, Shadowburn making the switch. We'll see if it's enough to counteract Vic and the impact he's been able to have, but he's made the switch himself, as you already pointed out. Now Earth Shatter comes down, Raucus is knocked down, but Fact Fiction able to boot Ryan reinforce away from that fight there, at least for a little bit of time. By the time he gets back to the fight, he goes down. Unco forced to go for a very much a chaotic heal there in the midst of everything. The Resurrect comes out, and Reinforce and AKM able to team up and deal with Fact Fiction. But now Shadowburn as well, still a threat, still a factor here in this fight. He's got the high ground and no one's challenging him out. AKM picks up Forsaken though, and this makes Shadowburn's job that much more important, but you can't ask for much more than having your enemies tied together just so all those rockets are that much more devastating.
It's just beautiful coordination from Zoms there. That was a Graviton that no one expected to really see coming. He was the only one on the battlefield. Locked them all in place, brought the 3 who were pushing the card in, knowing that Shadowburn was going to respawn. Shadowburn comes over the top of this primary and deletes that big ball of meat there. So now they're holding pretty strong. 2 minutes left to push this map.
And Tavic's going to have to challenge this one out as well. You can see him going up. He needs to deal with Shadowburn, who was so deadly in that last fight, but he has the vantage point. Now he needs to actually execute and finish the kill. Dragonblade available for him now, but here comes a barrage in. Shadowburn falls down, doesn't get a full channel off. It was actually AKM that cut him down to sides. Now AKM's going to be able to come back into this fight as well as Forsaken takes down Wins. The payload moves forward. No one's there to contest it, and it will be Rogue getting across the line. Only just 2 minutes or under it, in fact. Both teams, very similar times on finishing the map, and this is kind of what we expected to see.
Yeah, about a 20-second difference between the two teams. Very close in skill level and how they're running on King's Row. AKM there at the end with a couple clutch headshots to bring that home for him. And yeah, it's the first time today we're actually using the time bank.
That is right. And of course, it is going to be the attackers first. I believe it's going to be FaZe. No, it's actually going to be Rogue attacking first. So perhaps the team with the least amount of time, I forget the exact ruling on that one now as well. It's going to be 2 minutes here for Rogue to get as far as they possibly can. And then FaZe will have to reciprocate here. So this still very much hangs in the balance here. Bear in mind, if you're just joining us, it was a win for FaZe on the first map, an upset, some may have considered it. And now they're on the precipice of taking this to a 2-0 victory for them and getting back into that final.
Yeah, and it looks like Shadowburn found his home back on Pharah. He's going to run that yet again, even on the defense here, something we generally see out of the offense. So that is one wrinkle, and it looks like we're going to see a Pharah on the other side of things as well, as Tavik is going to run our Rocket Queen as well for the offense. So we're going to have Pharah v. Pharah. What year is it?
I know, right? We're rolling back the years now. This reminds me of beta, or like the beta tournaments where Pharah was very much thing. To be fair, sometimes there was more than one of them, and that was a very strange situation. But yes, we had a bit of a throwback here as well, and we hope it's here to stay. We were talking about diversity. Well, you know, we're seeing a bit of it amongst these two maps here as well. Now, let's go with Tavik, see what he starts off with now. Is the onus is going to be on him to be the instigator. He needs to get into the back lines, find those squishy targets, and of course, just completely mash them now into pieces. You might be looking for his opposition there as well. He gets on towards too easy as well, and you know Reinforcer's making some noise now. If this was LAN, he'd be up out of his seat, still playing, somehow keeping his hands on the keyboard. But Tvik going in there as well, getting those rockets in over towards Shadowban and takes him very low. Raucus falls, so no resurrect potential going to be available here for the defending side, not for the moment at least, and Tvik still causing trouble. Now the point is being held by Rogue, and FaZe has to fight back into this one, but they've been denied entry. The door has been shut in their face.
It's just this aggression. This aggression from Rogue is their trademark, and people say like maybe Reinforce makes mistakes and he's too aggressive here and there. That's how they want him to play. That is how he plays. That's how this team plays around him. So he starts it off with a huge charge, takes down too easy there, and now you've already made your fight 5v6 without any of your DPS even having to fire a shot. That's how he plays. When it works phenomenally. Reinforced with a great entry kill there. Look how far forward they're pushing.
This is great, and this is going to be Rogue guaranteeing themselves to get as much progress as humanly possible. This pretty much shuts down the entire Streets phase from being able to be protected or challenged out here by FaZe now. They're going to stick around for as long as they possibly can, and FaZe are going to need to come forward with, well, God, 6 people, an entire team to push them back. And right now, the rocket spam from Tvik is actually denying any sort of approach here. You can see Forsaken has to sneak right on up, use the wall and hug it to try and even get to this point without being picked off early.
Yeah, you mentioned that they had to make good progress through the Streets phase, and they're doing just that. Here comes the Graviton. Is there the follow-up?
Oh, the Earth Shatter comes down from Fact Fiction, but it's not convincing still. Shadowban manages to take to the skies and get a bit of damage done, but Tvik actually does better. He gets on towards too easy there with that barrage. Now it's going to be the Farah v Farah battle. Raucus going to be able to get his team back on their feet, and that's an important res to have. Graviton Surge, he's going to put 3 Rogue players together, but absolutely zero follow-up to think of there. But Shadowburn is still alive, and he's still in a position to do some damage, to put the hurt down on towards Rogue, to try and stop them from just charging towards the end of the map now as well. And you can see that Farah is still good. No one's answering her. No one's responding to this threat in the air until Wins manages to get the laser and melt her down.
Yeah, they're going to win this fight despite a couple of tank ultimates that didn't get exactly what they wanted. That Graviton and the Earth Shatter only both hitting 1 player, so not exactly what they were looking for there, but finally they just poked Shadowburn out of the sky. I think it was actually a Mercy pistol that ended his life phenomenally. So they're running really good. It is clearly in overtime right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's Unko for you as well. He counts how many kills he gets on Mercy every game, and he will tell you if you ask him as well. It's a bit of a pride thing for him now, but we are going to see Deadeye coming out now as well. Shadowburn up towards the top side. Overtime is still ticking, of course, and there's not going to be any more time for Rogue after this, but they've already done so well with just 2 minutes to work with. It's quite nuts. They are going to get pushed off this payload now by the looks of things. That overtime is going to melt down super fast, but somehow it's refreshed. Nox gets back, but there it is. It's done, but still 5 points. Getting 2 points out of 3 minutes, or 2 minutes there for Rogue, is very, very good.
Yeah, a pretty stunning kind of turn of events there, and we mentioned that Rogue is a very aggressive team. That aggression really lends really to them when they have to push with a limited amount of time. So time bank might be something that switches in Rogue's favor. At the very end, they're Reinforced, charge himself off of a cliff, but hey, like I said, he's going to be aggressive. You have to live with that.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just the thing, though. You unlock a whole world of opportunities and possibilities being as aggressive as Reinforces, and you take the good with the bad as well there. I think it's still a net positive for a Reinhardt player to be that aggressive, because some people can't even visualize situations in which you can really shake up a game as Reinhardt. It doesn't even occur to some people. It's like a lot of people don't even get further than, should I charge?
Right.
You know, at least, and he follows he follows the neurons all the way down to what happens when I do charge and start fighting. And again, that's just an arsenal. It's I guess a hidden power that Rogue have that some teams just don't have. Although most at this level can sort of think in that way. You need to as Reinhardt.
So we did have a disconnect. We're going to try to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, your point on Reinhardt is so well taken, because a lot of people look like a Roadhog. Oh my god, that's so broken. Every 6 seconds he gets a hook. Well, Reinhardt's kind of just the reverse of that. Like every so and so seconds you can charge in and take someone out. Now the problem is, can you live through your charge? And Reinforced does more often than not get that entry kill on a charge and then live through it. So that's what a tank is really good at. And there's definitely different styles to play Reinhardt. Reinforced is unique in his brand. Does it really well.
Yeah. And that's what I like about him now. But as well, only 5 players here for Rogue. They had to disconnect. It's Wins who's left the server. Something wrong with his Czech Republic internet, it appears. And we have, unfortunately, we're just going to have to play on this the way it goes. So Fact Fiction just inexorably making his way forward on towards the point. But AKM picks up Shadowburn there as well. That's going to take a lot of the wind out of the sails here of the FaZe side. And they're forced back by 1 man and 1 man alone.
Well, you got to get 1 kill to even make it even, so that it's 5v5, and they get 2, and they're going to hold on this defense right now while Wins yet remains to connect here, so... 5v6 and the defense still holding strong, although the resurrection is going to come in next. Tvik already has his blizzard just about ready. One more icicle should do it.
I believe in Roykill. Oh my god, Shadowberg gets picked up by AKM there as well. Raucus also being threatened. Losing to Pharah so early yet again. You can't risk picking that up against a player like AKM. He will punish you. Now the blizzard comes down on the point. It's just Zom's being caught out in that one, and he can shield that out for the most part. In fact, he can shield it up and now out enough for him to get out of it. God help me. But still, it denies ground from the side of FaZe. They actually can't move in towards that one. They have to wait. They have to lose more time. It's a great stall mechanic. And now we see the Graviton Surge coming in. But Forsaken, you can't attack while you're in that form, bro. There's no real follow-up coming into it. And Forsaken still gets 2 kills, but Wins is back. Wins is getting into the fight. He responds to this one now. And with 50 seconds left, that is a respectable hold from Rogue. And that sets himself up to look pretty good here.
That's exactly what they needed. And yeah, as you mentioned, player 2 has entered the game. Wins is back and reconnected. So only about 30 seconds to get this as far as they need to get to. I'd say just a stall tactic here would win the map.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't even really need to worry too much about getting aggressive. You can do that as Rogue. And Reinforce is just rubbing his hands together now. Let's look at Fact Fiction now. Obviously, does have the Earth Shudder available. If you're FaZe, you need to break this. You can't allow the enemy team to disengage and stall you. You have to go. You have to go now. You've got 13 seconds left. You're going to be in overtime. That's going to tick down very, very quickly if you get shoved off the payload at any point. So Fact Fiction needs to set up a very strong Earth Shatter, but he can't. He gets signed up pretty much straight away there. And there's a brilliant Earth Shatter coming out from Reinforce. Perfect response there. That's going to win the game right here and now for Rogue as well. If the Resurrect does come in, it may still not be enough. Reinforce gets knocked onto his rear end, but Tvik's still free to do damage here as May. He's going to go and freeze up on towards Fact Fiction, shall I say, who can't even charge and get out of this one. Too easy, close to a Deadeye, doing a lot of damage over these fights now as well. Going to flash forward, finds Tvik with Fan the Hammer. Now going to be looking for yet another opponent here as well, but Reinforce just stalling. He knows what he can do with that. Now, the overtime still ticks. The fight was won by FaZe, but this is it. They're out of chances. One more lost fight and it's game over for them.
Yeah, over time, the wick continues to burn down as all they have to do is just stall them out, win one fight, push them off the cart enough. And there's some ultimates that they have ready to do it. So we'll see if Deadeye can reconnect here. But yeah, honestly, they've got some decent ultimates on the offensive side too. Here comes their Deadeye.
Possible they can do this. I mean, it's 5 points and 28 meters, so they need to get to the foundry. That gives them 5. Then they need to go towards that yellow square of victory, as we'll call it now. Something's going to lay down the Graviton Surge, and the wall comes up pretty much instantly there as well, but it's not enough to protect Rogue from the damage coming in. AKM, respectable, gets himself 2 kills, but most of his teammates have already fallen by the wayside. Tvik can only just troll his way up on towards that payload, put a wall out for no reason, but that's a mobile wall. That's going places, and so are FaZe. They get that 5 points. They've got overtime, and they can't lose a fight, though. There is no margin of error, but I have seen teams finish an entire map pretty much on the back of an overtime. You get rolling, you get those ults happening. Fact Fiction has Earth Shatter. This is possible.
Preemptively change to a Tracer too in case they do end up losing a fight so that they can at least get back there and stall out. That's what Too Easy came up on. Giant Graviton comes in to start this fight.
Big Earth Shatter, big Earth Shatter comes in there as well. Nox is charged up into the wall. He's taken down now. Reinforce forced to back away. His Wind is already finding himself in the middle of the action. We see AKM as well. He's in a very crucial position. He needs to be able to stay alive here, but no one's challenging him. That's a good sign. Wins to Tvik, charming in. Too Easy falls down now as well, and AKM just needs to finish the job, and they've done it. Perfect stuff. Rogue with 6 minutes in the back pocket, well, 5.5 meters, sorry, not 6 minutes, 6 meters. Get the job done, but that's a pretty close fight.
Yeah, that's our first experience of Time Bank, and that's really cool. I actually really like how that ends up working out. Very, very good fight from both teams back and forth. So if I'm not incorrect, which wouldn't be a first, we're going to be going to map 3.
Yes, it will be map 3 here. Rogue managed to bring things back pretty disillusioned after losing that last one. And, well, you asked for it. We're going to mostly play the game. I don't even know if ZP's showing them anymore. I don't know if people have bought them, but regardless, just so you know. Yep, he's still showing it, so there you go. Get to enjoy that. Nice work by Raucus. And they won 1 here in this one, and now it's going to be FaZe's pick. This will test the depth of their map, Paul. This will, this will just test the depth of their skill on the remaining maps here. So yeah, I'm curious to see how this one plays out. There will be a short break because Reinforce wants to take 2 minutes, but we can discuss when we do see this map come up.
I believe it's Hollywood. Yeah, I had to restart, so my map draft is gone, but I remember it being Hollywood. You're free to correct me if that's not the case.
No, I think you might be right here as well. We'll just have to wait and see them change it. I mean, Hollywood is an interesting map here. I mean, between these two, you're right. It is Hollywood. I remember I got really upset at Rogue one night for the way they played on Hollywood, where they refused to sort of pick a Reinhardt. But the last time I saw them it was at the finals, and they played really well. So Hollywood's always been a favorite of 2EZ's. He's always said he's enjoyed playing it. I think the entirety of Reunited actually made it a little bit of a thing for them, or at least a solid map for them for some time. Even though I think a lot of the time seeing them playing Gosu Weeklies, it seemed to be their Achilles to a degree.
Yeah.
I have to think that FaZe have been working on this one here as well, but I think they got no choice. We vetoed down to 3, so Hollywood it is.
Well, last time these two teams played on Hollywood, I was doing VOD review of the ESL Atlantic playoffs, and they just absolutely bullied Tvik. Like, every time he tried to get in on his Genji, he was running up the wall to take that high ground, and there was always a flashbang, then another Genji there to deal with him. Like, they 2v1'd him a lot of times, never gave him any room. That was their entire strategy. And it was the best I've ever seen 2EZ play, like, at all. And I've been watching this guy for months and months and months, but he had his best game ever on Hollywood. He had another really good game the other night on Hollywood. It was a tale of two halves. So what 2EZ does on this map, when he plays McCree, he goes for like really aggressive flanks, and sometimes he's a little bit late to shut down that style of play and to like kind of bring it back to play a little more conservatively if the team's not giving it to him. So we'll see how he wants to play his McCree here. But last time it was Shadowburn and 2EZ just mocking Tvik every time he tried to get in. There was both those two on him, and they just absolutely eliminated his style.
And this team is, I mean, this FaZe lineup as well, it's so chock full of talent. It's ridiculous. I mean, you've got the raw, sort of unrefined and just recently discovered talent of Raucus and Fact Fiction. Now, I know a lot of Ono were like World of Warcraft players, so the same sort of abilities that NIP bring into Overwatch, they also have. Obviously, a lot of those guys played for Paragon back in the day. But I mean, you've got Zoms there as well, who's very, very solid on Xayah for a young player, which I really have to respect because she takes an immense amount of patience to play well. Xayah really need to focus on it. And mostly it's actually, by default, it's like the ex-Quake pros will play Xayah because you've got an LG and a rocket launcher, basically. Like, it's kind of what you sort of go for here. So I'm impressed with him so far, definitely. I mean, and we talked about 2EZ Shadowburn. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory between those two. So it's a really strong roster. I would love to know what the interpersonal interactions are like with these guys as well, because you have some big personalities mixed in with, you know, some guys who I really don't know much about here as well. I mean, with Shadowburn obviously being the well-known player that he was back in the day, and 2EZ being the person we know 2EZ to be. I'd love to see how sort of things track for these guys. I think they've got a honeymoon period right now. I think that's the only way I can explain this. And when the going gets tough, I'll be interested to see how they sort of react to that.
Yeah, it's not actually super surprising that the World of Warcraft players end up playing like tank and support. That's something we've seen in Overwatch a lot, and a lot of it just happens to be like game sense, cooldowns, resource management, things like that. So, I mean, even going way back to a lot of the players on Cloud9, a lot of players who were on Envious and things like that, they have a World of Warcraft background. And when the game launched the other night, we were doing the Alienware monthly melee, and it was hard to get teams to like continue to play because a lot of guys were just like stopping in between sets to go play World of Warcraft. They're like, Legion just launched, dude, let me go play. So there are a ton of Overwatch players or a ton of World of Warcraft players now in Overwatch, and a lot of them do end up slotting into those tank and support roles. So we are still waiting on FaZe. It gives me a moment. I'll try to keep it brief to do a little bit of a sellout here to pay the bills, to advertise our sponsors. Of course, you can always help us out by going to Matcherino, !Matcherino in chat gives you that link. Moobot will hook you up. I'll hook you up with a coupon code. That's GGEU18. Throw $1 in for free. Last time I was there, we still had some coupon codes. Please donate. Use all the coupon codes, or otherwise I get reprimanded for not doing my job and selling out the coupon codes. Of course, we are sponsored still by our friends at OWKings.com. If you want to learn from the pros, play at this high level, get your SR rank up before you go into your placement matches, OWKings.com is the place to be. Coupon code GOSU will get you 10% off your membership there for the lifetime. And we have a new partner in Ting. If you want to save some money on your phone, check out gg.ting.com. See if it makes sense for you. See if you actually are using everything you pay for on your mobile phone. They got a nice little calculator there. Bring your own device, switch over if you want. Save a ton of money, only use what you want to use, and you're in complete control of your account, unlike some other wireless providers. So check them out. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Without the viewers, we don't have sponsors. I don't have to do this, etc., etc., etc. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting our sponsors. And we got a couple more sets for you today in Overwatch.
Yeah, absolutely. We've still got one more map left in this game, and then we're going to be on to the grand final there as well. Obviously, Rogue would like to go back up there as well, but no team wants to go up against Reunited right now more than FaZe. Too Easy would already have told his team. He would have already given the grand address from the early part of the game, saying this is the objective today. We get into this tournament, we get to the end, we beat Reunited, and we take away the Skrilla. Still, I mean, Rogue is a very fearsome opponent to be standing in their way. And Reunited will be watching with great interest here at how the young Too Easy has developed and this new team around him. Also, I was half right. Raucus is the only player on Ono with WoW experience. So, because these players all met when they played Overwatch. So, Raucus was a Warcraft player and like a CS player as well. Uncle Swag just gave me the lowdown there as well on that one. I mean, to be fair, when you mod every Overwatch stream in existence, it's good that you know some stuff about the players. So
yeah, Uncle Swag is everywhere. He's absolutely everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I think. I was casting an ESL thing the other day, and Uncle Swag had mod in our chat, and I was like, "How does he have mod?
That happen?
He has mod in every channel." And then I went and asked, just out of curiosity, because I didn't mind. I'm just like, he's a good mod. And then I asked like some guy, like he's like, "Yeah, he's in the ESL mod team." I'm like, holy crap, he's like mold. He's just everywhere. He just gets into all the cracks and he's in every Overwatch stream. So if you see Uncle Swag in chat, say hello. The guy works really, really hard. He does a good job, even if he puts like emotes in at the end of every sentence that he ever types. That's one thing he does with me. Every sentence he types, he puts emotes in there as well. It's great.
His Twitch game is strong. We're going to start up here on Hollywood. We're moving into Hollywood. And yeah, I don't know how Uncle Swag does it, but he is absolutely everywhere and has this better Twitch TV emote game on point. So this is it. This is for who moves up, who moves down. There's a big difference between first and second place as far as the prize pool goes, as far as the spoils go. Third place just leaves the tournament with $100. That's split between 6, but second place gets a bigger chunk, and they get a percentage of that match arena money, which you've definitely been donating throughout this broadcast. So a big deal here, as this is a decider match of our lower bracket on Hollywood. Do you see anything out of the ordinary just yet?
Well, not quite yet. I mean, we're interested to see what we see sort of offensively, I think, more than anything here. But, you know, I sort of remember the back and forth. Are we going to see the Junkrat? That used to be a thing. Obviously, Pharah was super strong now. I don't know if teams have the goal to sort of take Pharah on the offensive side quite yet, although she was quite effective. We are going to see the Ana here, though, for Forsaken. So I like that. You know, combined with the Too Easy Shadowburn factor, it's not going to be... Yeah, see, what I find weird, it's another situation we see Ana picked in what may not be a triple tank setup. So if that's actually going to be the case, that's sort of a little bit, I think you can agree, not quite standard here from FaZe.
Well,
no, not at all. You run her with those triple tanks because it helps her charge her ult a lot better too. But Forsaken has been one, especially on this map. He might switch to Zenyatta at the last second just to mess with us, because that's what he's been doing forever with Ana into Zen here. And it's been always like this map, so we'll see if he actually comes out with it. It is a strategy that some teams are running though, and he has not left spawn. Yep, he's on Zenyatta. Thanks, Forsaken.
Every time, man. Every time I start talking about the attacking team, I get done like that. But that's fine. Zenyatta comes in, so more standard of a composition. And this is, again, more of a pre-patch kind of composition as well. Nice to see things haven't changed too much. So Fact Fiction gets up quite close. He's at risk of being caught out. Here he doesn't want to back away to the right. Is a bit interesting there as well. He can be isolated, but Shadowborn goes straight through there with him as well. And even Raucus able to get the heals. So this is FaZe actually able to play a bit more of a prolonged approach towards the point. Fact Fiction... It's discorded there as well, and just puts his shot up a little bit too late. He dies straight to the charge there of Reinforce, picks him up straight away there.
Reinforce has been beating other Reinhardts pretty consistently the last couple days, so when he chooses to take a fight with another Reinhardt, he's generally been winning that. He has been champion of the Rein games more recently than not, and those charges to take down the opposing Reinhardt cannot be undervalued. That is your shield down, that is your entire kind of rhythm setter in your tank, so the fact he takes them out first in fights is a huge boon to Rogue.
And Reinforce is so dedicated to improving as a tank that he's solo queues ranked as a tank. Now, like players like Cruz, who are Lucio mains, play Genji, right? Most pro players do that because you can make more of an impact. No, Reinforce is going to play Reinhardt in his ranked games. It's nuts. Not many people do that at all. That's how he's a student of the game, I like to think. But now we see a Transcendence come over the top there. Too Easy's going to be knocked down. A Reinforce takes special pleasure in crunching him up against the wall. A Graviton Surge used on towards the point, but there's no one really there to be caught in it. Reinforce manages to trot on over there and get the pickup. Shadowburn gets the Dragon Blade out, but forced to block it pretty much immediately. Then he's sucked inside there. Still goes down to Tvik eventually, and Tvik gets himself the second here. I like the Tracer here defensively. It can work, although it is risky, but so far, so good.
Yeah, Rock has had to hold that resurrect really long, so much so that he wasn't able to bring up 2 members of his team, which he desperately wanted to bring back up. So the resurrection just did not work out for them because everyone died at such different intervals, and now they're going to be in the back line trying to clean this up as there's only 2 remaining from the offense still pushing. Looks like Factor Fiction and Shadowburn are going to back out a little bit though.
Yeah,
oh,
again,
no.
Yeah, gets caught there as well. The moment that he went to try and use his Fire Strike, he dropped the shield and he got picked up there as well. So very clever by AKM and managed just to get him at the right time. It's a short window, but if you're good, you can exploit that.
Yeah, that's a pretty rough death. You can't push in without that now. They have to wait for Factor Fiction and get up to the front lines. He is with the whole team now, so they are going to push this a full 6. Only 90 seconds left to finish out this first point.
Yeah, pretty darn nice here for Rogue so far. Still a chance to come in, but Tvik actually blows himself up on the pulse bomb. I think he got stunned when he was trying to recall after he placed the bomb down or something like that. Either way, he fell. I think it was 2E's that managed to get him, and yep, that's a pretty embarrassing way to die, but AKM gets himself a nice little double kill there as well off the back of that little damage. Now, Fact Fiction coming straight in. Great Earth Shatter, but he gets cut down before he can get towards the finish line. Now, Raucus and Forsaken are the only people alive, and that's not enough damage.
Yeah, you can't do all of your own cleanup as Reinhardt. That's a beautiful Earth Shatter, like you mentioned. Knocks down 4, but you just simply don't have the DPS or the fire speed to be able to clean up all 4 of those. His team was not there for him, too. So now we're going to be going into probably what's going to be the last fight unless they gut it out. And it's really going to be a lot on Zombs to see if he can nail this Graviton.
Yeah, his last one wasn't that convincing at all. It didn't actually hit anyone in particular there. Maybe used a little bit after the fact, or maybe his desperation. So now it has to be just perfect, centimeter perfect. In fact, he lets that one go there as well. He manages to catch a few plays in that one, and it works out. Shadowburn gets himself 2 kills, and now 2Easy jumps in over the top. It's reinforced, surrounded by foes, and Nox can't do much to stay alive. So it comes down to the wire, but FaZe get it done.
Yeah, perfect fight there. They got a really nice entry kill to take someone off of the high ground, take the high ground over for themselves. Zombs wasn't forced to try to go for a 3 or 4, just happy with the 2. Everyone is around to clean that up, and yeah, back against the wall last second, but they do pull it out there.
And that's just what FaZe needed now as well. Problem is 2 minutes 24 to get this phase done is really hard. There's not much time at all, especially when the defenders, if they have a chance to set up on the high ground, can just chain fight after fight into you. But 2Easy opts to go out towards the right side here as well. He wants to go up on the elevator and get the high ground. So, that, with Shadowburn going forward ahead of him, clearing the ground, 2Easy wants to sort of take a bit of a duel with AKM and actually forces him down. That's nicely played out here. And now it's going to be high ground going over to the attacking side, which is not often to see. And now the sound barriers come in. It's Graviton Surge catching 4. Where's the follow-up? There's a great little Earth Shadow.
Oh my
2Easy
God!
just goes over the top. Look, honestly, it's disgusting. I'm wincing as I say it, but it just doesn't get any easier than that.
That is a 4-kill Deadeye that you do not often see. Just in phenomenal position. As you mentioned earlier, he set himself up there on the roof to bully off the opposing McCree AKM, and then no one accounted for him. They threw a Discord orb at him at the last, but I think everyone just knew they were in for it. That huge 4K. That's amazing.
Incredible stuff there as well. And to be fair, it didn't require too much. Just good setup from the rest of his team there. Great positioning, and now Reinforced going to charge in. Shadowburn's going to fall down there as well. Reinforced maybe just taking 5 there, looking for a new entry towards the fight, but he's not going to need to find one. This is a good recovery from Rogue after being arguably decimated there by 2Easy. They managed to get back, establish position, and they're going to try and push ahead now and stall this out as much as they possibly can.
Yeah, Tvik got some revenge there too, as 2Easy for the most part of this map so far has just been eating his lunch. He got back into 2Easy and able to take him down on the Tracer, so he got another Tracer kill too, but it looks like we might be nearing the last fight here. Factor Fiction's going to have Earth Shatter up. We'll see. Zombs should get his Graviton in. That's what turned the tide for him last time.
Yeah, that's right. It was well placed by him, but he's going to need a bit of follow-up to that one, no doubt about it. So you can't afford to lose anyone now. And look at this, all of a sudden, it's a monkey in the backside. Yes, the flank coming out here from Rogue. Tvik managing to get away from that one, but 2 pick-offs by Tvik. Going to make it very, very hard here for FaZe to continue fighting on. He's staying alive. He gets himself 3. He's going to make it 4. Perfect stuff from Tvik on that Tracer, and that is going to derail the FaZe train. They got one more chance to come back in, but they won't be able to get to make a fight of their own design. They just have to go in and try and stall, even if they can get there.
Yeah, I think people are underestimating how far away this payload is. They're at 9 seconds here. They might be able to get it. They're trying to get their Reinhardt in position so that he can charge into the cart because it's that close.
Yep, Earthshatter comes out there as well. In fact, Fiction moves forward. FaZe gets there, but they don't have much time left as well. Up on high. It's going to be too easy using the Deadeye. He gets two. It's Nox and AKM fall by the wayside, and now another Earthshatter comes down. Forsaken and Shadowburn both caught up by that one, but Reinforce actually gets cut down away from the fact. Overtime ticking down, but it's okay for FaZe. There is a chance they can take this one away. Tavik got discorded. He's forced to recall back and join the rest of his team, and somehow FaZe stay in it.
Yeah, it's kind of been their MO when they absolutely must have it. They pull the best fight that they have out of them. Now it's not over yet. This point is easy to stall out, so Tavik is going to come up over the top. Here comes a Death Blossom. Doesn't get much from Shadowburn.
Well, again, Fact Fishing going to go in towards Reinforce, and AKM falls down now. That payload looking to make some progress here at the very least. It is still overtime now, so if FaZe kicked off for even a small amount of time, they're done. But they're going to get themselves another point here as well. That would be a great boon to them and far more than they may be expected to get. And I'm just being told here as well, and something we probably missed in terms of the camera work, is that where 2easy's 4-man ult came from, that was a reflected Graviton Surge from Shadowburn. That was Splash telling me that one in chat as well. So it kind of makes it even that much more spicy.
Well, yeah, I am trying to read chat now. Unfortunately, we are not all seeing eyes in the sky. We do our best, but thank you, chat, for letting us know that was a reflected. But, you know, still, you don't see 4-man Deadeyes very often, regardless of how it was set up. He put himself in great position. He'd been having a great game before that, too. So here's another Graviton not reflected. Oh, that's perfect. 2easy gets the pulse bomb down there as well. That's going to smart in the morning. Fact Fiction gets himself 2 kills off the back of it. And this team were scant seconds away from losing the map on the streets phase, and now they're going to be able to get towards one final fight. They've still got 40 seconds up their sleeve here. They've got a couple key ults ready. Fact Fiction as well. You know he's going to be priming that Earthshatter ready to go just to stop the reinforcements from coming in. Hoping for a side angle. That'll do. He interrupts the Deadeye there as well and comes in with a hammer swing. AKM has got no choice but just to cop that. There's no way around it. Now the self-destruct going to be coming in as well. No pulse bomb, should I say. Wrong icon as Fact Fiction falls down to Tavik. Tavik now gets picked up by Forsaken. Sound Barrier comes out. Reinforce swinging the hammer. Gets another Earthshatter. And Rogue with just enough players to hold on here, but they need to win the fight. They need to push these guys back. 14 seconds left. Shadowburn manages to get on towards Nox here and goes for the Death Blossom, but he is cut down. Good work by Unpro to finish him off here. And that's a big, big boon here for Rogue. Yeah, that is going to be the end of the first half of this map as they do not complete it. 2.73.25 meters is their score. So the win condition is finish the map at any cost. What a battle back and forth. I can't believe some of the plays we saw there. I didn't even see the reflect. One of the hardest things to see in the game actually is a Zarya reflect. I've missed more than one in my times casting, but phenomenal setup there. Nice streets phase overall.
Yeah, well, I mean, fortunate there for FaZe to even finish the game off as it was and getting through in those last few seconds. And of course, even if it's an overtime, you get a very slim addition of time. It's going to be enough for them to get over the line at the very least. So, yeah, 2 points. Only 2 points accrued there as well. Now, for Rogue, against any other team, I'd say, sure. I mean, 2 points is quite reasonable. Come on in here with the push and get himself 3. But I don't know if it's going to be so simple for the man right now as... Well, the men, should I say. They're up against FaZe, and honestly, these guys are rock solid. Yeah, it's very evenly matched, and that just is kind of a testament to how well FaZe has been playing. If you asked anyone like a month ago, could We United beat Rogue, that you'd be laughed out of a room, because no, clearly not. But they've just been getting better and better, and maybe Rogue just not having their best of days. They've been looking a little bit shaky sometimes on the transitions of what they want to switch to and what they don't. But we'll see what they want to bust out here. This is a map that Rogue has run Tavik on a Hanzo on before, so anything that comes out of him would not be surprising. Him and Wins have yet to choose heroes, so we might be in for a surprise here, but Nox and Unco already on the supports. Wins goes to that Winston, which is interesting, trying to start off that dive comp. I imagine Tavik is going to go DPS, either Reaper or Hanzo here. Yeah, that would be alright. Even a Hanzo would be happy to see him being picked up here as well, as we know that getting those early picks on towards this point would be nice. Alright. Can be the case here.
Yeah, a different Shimada. He's gonna queue up as the Genji. Okay. Offensive Genji from Tavik.
I'll take it. I mean, maybe, I guess, time being of the essence here as well for Rogue, if they can get the dive in with Wins. I've seen this sort of fail quite a few times here. I mean, it can be hard, especially if one of those two components gets picked up. We'll probably see Tavik and Wins try and hit the back line as early as they possibly can. Yeah, Wins goes in. Tavik not really in sync with him right now, so that puts Wins in sort of like a 1v2, but he actually manages to find on towards Raucus. That's a great pick-off, and Tavik was able to get on towards 2easy. So Rogue have got everything working in their favor right now, with Wins taken down. Forsaken, though, it's going to be them sitting up on that payload, sitting pretty, and getting to start off this payload push.
It was a really nice read, just as you mentioned that wherever Wins went, Tavik was likely to follow, and that's essentially what you see between that Winston and Genji dive-in comp, that if there's a big presence at the top of the cafe, that he will follow right in with a dash after Winston's jump. He noticed that there was not a big presence, only one in the cafe, and that people would likely rotate into it, so he just cut off the rotation path to Tavik, let Wins do some work, so an untraditional dive, but an effective one.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, they kind of split up there, but, you know, if you can rely on Wins and both Vic to go 1v2 on their own, then you're not going to say no, really. Still, though, this time we see FaZe with a high ground control. They value it very highly, whether on attack or defense. This is hard to challenge out, I guess. Now, Wins, though, going for the backline, gets on towards Forsaken, so they're sort of just trying to work around the outside fringes of the setup here for FaZe, picking off people as they go. Tavik eventually falls down a Shadowburn now, and Wins is forced to use that Primal Rage, but the whole time this is happening, the payload's moving. Fact Fiction forced to jump down and try and get a bit of a This Is Sparta moment there with the Earth Shadow, but only gets the one person knocked down, and there's no follow-up available there. FaZe had a strong position. I wouldn't say unassailable, it was strong, but they managed to do nothing with it there, really.
Yeah, even if had they gotten wiped up in that fight, they got the card far enough so that they never had to worry about rooftops again. They could have just swung out on the wider angle here too. So they're just the problem right now with FaZe is that they're not able to finish fights. Their starting fight's really nice, but their last 4 lives have been pretty bad.
No doubt about it, but still good progress being made here. Too Easy manages to pick up Tavik at least, and he gets knocked down straight after that, but he was actually behind the boxes when he went down, so no one's there to follow up on it. Now, you're going to see the rest coming out here for FaZe, and they need this one, especially with AKM just dealing his own brand of damage around this map. Too Easy didn't even have a chance. Reinforced as well. Still in the mix here, but look at Fact Fiction. I don't really know who he's trying to target in this particular fight, but he's staying alive, and that's almost more important. He's allowing AKM to do so much freaking damage. AKM with a very safe, comfortable position just to peek out and get those shots in from, with Shadowburn finally killing him. It doesn't matter because the damage is already done.
They have 5.5 minutes to finish this out, and they've looked pretty much unstoppable. Too Easy does take down a nice kill on Tavik, but it's answered by 2 in turn, taking down Too Easy and Forsaken themselves as well. But this card has not stopped moving. They're beginning in like non-stop, and AKM, I mentioned, he's one of the most consistent McCrees. He is consistently doing damage, and they have yet to find an answer for him.
No doubt about it. Still unhindered pushing now as well. 4 minutes 58 left in the round here, and with the Wins pushing forward, you can see the intent in Rogue's eyes. They can see the finish line is so very close. Their chance at a rematch with Reunited is just around the corner. And now we see both Transcendences being popped at the same time. Wins as well just trying to disrupt the whole fight. I guess knock people away at the very least from their respective Transcendences there. And it works out for the most part. Vic gets his Dragon Blade out, finds on towards Shadowburn. That's an important pick-off now. With AKM falling though to Too Easy, that is going to leave that McCree free. Until then, Unco picks him up, and that payload still moves forward. Raucous now and Zombs are standing up on that one. They can at least, again, cause some problems, disrupt Rogue pushing forward, but Rogue aren't taking damage. They're not dying, and that's what FaZe need to do.
Yeah, kind of a stall-out point right here as they try to re-aggress into the hallway. Just not much happening on the other side. Both Sound Bearers come out, so they should be an elongated fight. AKM starts it off, takes down Zombs.
Good start there as well. Tavik going to go straight forward, but he sees a shield in his way. He's blocked his progress. Not going to be happening there as Fact Fiction manages to keep him at bay. Reinforce gets on towards Too Easy though as well, and you know he's ready to unleash in just a moment. He has the Earth Shatter available, but it's about when to use it, and that's a pretty good time. I like to think he's going to get the hammer swing and gets the charge on him. Fact Fiction falls down. Didn't know what hit him there as AKM assisting with the final blow. That payload's going to get across the line. They've got so much time here as well. That's the fight won. That's Rogue getting across the line, and that is Rogue securing their spot in these finals. There's no chance to contest, and FaZe have fallen. It's Rogue to get 3 points to win the map and this series.
Well, that was a fantastically fought series from Rogue. I'm a little upset we don't get to see the grudge match of FaZe versus Reunited, but we get to see a finals rematch with Rogue versus Reunited incoming here. So these are 2 of the best teams in the region. We'll see if they stick in the region. There's been rumors to the otherwise lately, but this should be a good one. And regardless though, FaZe has to just still be super happy with the results over the last several days.
No doubt about it. I mean, they've grown in leaps and bounds really probably faster than a lot of teams we've seen. We sort of compared them to Luminosity earlier on, but Luminosity spent quite some time grinding through as Too Strong. I mean, there was like them and teams like Hybrid, who later on became Reunited. Those 2 teams were sort of locked in this battle for sort of 5th, 6th, 7th place in Europe. So Strong really, they paid their dues. There's no doubt about it. Now Luminosity, they deserve to be where they are. But you know, a team like FaZe as well, you put together this team with so much talent, and they've played on teams before, sometimes, you know, in 2s and 3s, and they bring over Fact Fiction and Raucus. They've exploded, really. Even a loss here, I would not be disappointed about if I was them.
No, and knowing this team, they play in absolutely everything. So we might see them tomorrow. They're definitely a team that would play across region and things like that. So this is a finals that we may or may not have expected. I think when we looked at the brackets, we saw about 4 teams who we had pretty good candidates to make into the finals. No surprise that Reunited is going to be there. Rogue, can they take down Reunited to win the big chunk of the prize pool? That is what we got coming up next.